Boss gave me a promotion and a huge bonus. My wife cried tears of joy. We can finally pay off the debt, she said. Confused, I asked. What debt? She froze. The room fell silent. Then my phone buzzed. A new email from our bank. Final notice, your loan for $50,000 is overdue. I never thought I'd be sharing my personal life here, but I need to get this off my chest and maybe get some advice. My name's Jake, and I've been married to Sarah for 8 years. We live in a modest home in the suburbs of Chicago. I'm 35, working as a marketing manager at a reputable firm downtown. Sarah, 33, has been a stay-at-home wife since we decided she would focus on managing our household. Last month, after years of dedication and countless late nights, I was called into my boss's office. He praised my hard work and offered me a promotion to senior marketing director, along with a $20,000 bonus. I was over the moon. This was the break I'd been working towards, and I couldn't wait to share the news with Sarah. That evening, I walked into our home, eager to tell Sarah. She was in the kitchen, preparing dinner. I hugged her from behind and whispered, "Guess what? I got promoted and received a $20,000 bonus." She turned around, eyes welling up with tears. "Oh, Jake! This is wonderful news. We can finally pay off the debt," she said, her voice trembling. I pulled back, confused. "Debt? What debt?" Her face went pale. She opened her mouth as if to speak but then closed it again. The room grew silent. As we stood there in silence, my phone buzzed. I glanced at it and saw an email notification from our bank. The subject line read, "Final notice, your loan for $50,000 is overdue." My heart raced as I opened the email. It detailed a loan taken out 6 months prior, with my name as the primary borrower. I had no recollection of this. "Sarah," I began, my voice shaking. "What is this about a $50,000 loan?" She sank into a chair, avoiding my gaze. I took out the loan," she admitted softly. "Without telling me? Why?" Tears streamed down her face. "I was trying to fix a mistake." "What mistake?" I pressed, feeling a knot tighten in my stomach. She hesitated, then whispered, "I was unfaithful." The room seemed to spin. I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. "With whom?" "Mark," she admitted, barely audible. "Mark was my best friend since college. We'd been through thick and thin together. Betrayal from both my wife and my closest friend was unfathomable." "How long?" I managed to ask. "About a year," she confessed. "It ended 6 months ago." "Why the loan, Sarah?" She took a shaky breath. "I discovered I was pregnant. I wasn't sure if the baby was yours or Mark's." I panicked. "I didn't want you to find out, so I borrowed money for a private paternity test and to cover some expenses without raising suspicion." "And?" My voice was cold. "The baby was yours," she said, sobbing. "But I lost it in the 3rd month." I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and betrayal. "Why didn't you come to me? We could have faced this together." "I was terrified, Jake. I didn't want to lose you." The weight of her words pressed down on me. I needed answers from Mark. Without another word, I grabbed my keys and drove to his apartment downtown. He opened the door, surprised to see me. "Jake! What's up?" "Don't play dumb," I snapped, pushing past him into his living room. "I know about you and Sarah." His face fell. He gestured for me to sit, but I remained standing. "Look, man," he started. "It was a mistake. We were both drunk, and save it," I interrupted. "You were my best friend. How could you?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I have no excuse. I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't cut it," I said, turning to leave. "Stay away from me and my family." Returning home, I found Sarah still seated at the table, eyes red from crying. "I confronted Mark," I told her. She nodded, not meeting my eyes. "I understand if you want to leave me." I took a deep breath, emotions swirling. I need time to think. I moved out the next morning. I packed a bag, left a short note, and drove to my brother Matt's apartment on the west side of Chicago. He didn't ask many questions, just nodded, handed me a beer, and let me crash in his spare room. I couldn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling and kept hearing her voice say, "We can finally pay off the debt." I wasn't angry anymore. Not just angry, at least. I was hollow. Everything I thought I knew about my life turned out to be paper thin. The wife I trusted. My best friend. Even my bank account was a lie. A few days later, I got a message from Sarah. No long texts. Just one line. "There's more. You deserve to know." I stared at it for 10 minutes before I responded. "Tell me everything." She replied right away. "Not like this. Please. Come home." I wasn't ready to face her, but my curiosity, and maybe some twisted sense of closure, pushed me to go back that night. When I walked in, the house felt colder than it ever had. She was sitting on the couch, pale, holding a folder in her hands. Her eyes were puffy, and she looked like she hadn't slept since I left. "You said there's more?" I said, keeping my distance. She nodded and handed me the folder. Inside were printed emails. Messages between her and a woman named Angela. I didn't recognize the name at first, but the content made my stomach drop. Angela was Mark's ex. Sarah finally spoke. "I found out they were still talking. Even after he and I stopped." "What are you saying?" "They were planning something. He told her things about you. About our money. About work stuff. He used me to get to you." I shook my head. "Used you?" "Angela sent me the messages. They were laughing about how easy it was. Mark wanted you to slip up at work, mess with your promotion. He hated you, Jake." That part didn't make sense. Mark and I had been friends since college. We worked in totally different fields. We never fought. Never even competed. "Why?" I asked. She hesitated. "Because he thinks you ruined his life." I laughed, bitter and confused. "I helped him. I gave him money when he lost his job. I helped him move. I even helped him get into rehab." "I know," she whispered. "But he said you made him feel small. Like he'd never catch up to you." I sat down. My legs couldn't hold me anymore. That night changed everything again. The affair wasn't just about cheating. It was part of something messier, darker, and somehow even more painful. Mark didn't just sleep with my wife. He tried to wreck my life piece by piece. I spent the next week trying to sort through the emails. I talked to a lawyer. He said if I could prove Mark had anything to do with fraud on that loan or messed with my identity, we could press charges. But it was a long shot. Then, another twist hit. One night, around midnight, Matt woke me up. "Dude, someone's downstairs." I jumped up, heart pounding. I looked out the window and saw Mark's car parked across the street. He was just sitting there, staring at the building. I grabbed my phone, took a photo, and called the cops. By the time they arrived, he was gone. The next day, I got a message from an unknown number. "You don't know the full story. You're only hearing what she wants you to hear." No name. No context. Just that. Was it Mark? Angela? Someone else? I didn't know. But suddenly, I didn't trust anyone. I didn't go back to Sarah's. I stopped answering her texts. I couldn't tell what was true anymore. The cheating. The loan. The revenge. It all felt connected, but in a way I couldn't fully wrap my head around. What I did know was this. My marriage was broken, my oldest friendship was dead, and someone was still trying to mess with my life. And I still didn't know why. 2 weeks passed. I focused on work, trying to keep my mind from spiraling. But the paranoia stayed. I started checking over my shoulder, locking my car twice, sleeping with my phone under my pillow. Then came the twist I never saw coming. It started with a phone call from a blocked number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Jake? This is Angela. Her voice was calm, careful. I'm not supposed to call you. But I need to tell you something before things get worse. My pulse spiked. Go on. There's no way to say this without sounding crazy, but Sarah and Mark lied. To both of us. I stepped outside Matt's apartment, trying to keep my voice low. What do you mean? Sarah told you the affair ended 6 months ago, right? Yeah. Angela paused. It didn't. They were still seeing each other 2 months ago. I caught them. I leaned against the wall. Why would she lie? Why now? Because they were planning to run away together. That's what all those emails were about. It wasn't just about the affair. They were gonna drain your accounts. Start over somewhere else. But something went wrong. I didn't know whether to believe her. What went wrong? She found out Mark was also talking to me again. That he wasn't going to leave with her. He was playing us both. She snapped. That's when she told you about the debt. About the baby. She wanted to look like the victim. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My brain was short-circuiting. Angela continued. He's unraveling now. He's been watching your apartment. Mine too. He thinks we ruined everything. I asked her to forward the proof. Emails, texts, anything. She said she would. 10 minutes later, I had screenshots. Hundreds. Mark and Sarah plotting how to open accounts in my name. Mark researching fake IDs. Sarah talking about booking flights to Florida. Then suddenly the tone changed, Sarah begging him to stop, accusing him of using her. Mark accusing her of ruining everything. It was like watching two snakes turn on each other. One message from Mark to her stood out. If you don't fix this, I'll fix it myself. He's not walking away clean. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. Then I finally responded to Sarah for the first time in weeks. I know you lied again. I have the messages. You weren't protecting me. You were trying to get away with him. Don't contact me again. Her reply came 2 hours later. You don't understand what he's capable of. You think this is just about the affair? He's dangerous, Jake. A day later, I found my car keyed. Liar, etched into the passenger side. I filed a police report. The officer recognized Mark's name. We've had prior issues with him. Stalking threats. No convictions, though. Be careful. That night, someone rang the buzzer to Matt's apartment at 3:14 a.m. 3 times. Then silence. We didn't go to the door. The next morning, there was a photo slipped under the door. It was me and Sarah. Taken months ago, at our anniversary dinner. On the back, someone had written in red marker. How many lies does it take before you see the truth? I'm starting to think the affair was just the beginning. Something much worse is unfolding. And I'm caught right in the center of it. 3 nights after the photo was slipped under the door, I hit my breaking point. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. I jumped at every sound outside. Matt tried to talk me down, told me to go to the police again, maybe even stay in a hotel for a few days. But I was tired of hiding. Tired of being scared in my own skin. I decided to confront them. Both of them. Together. I sent one message to Sarah. Meet me at the cafe on Lincoln and West at 6 p.m. Bring Mark. No more lies. Everything comes out tonight. No reply. But at 5:50 p.m., I parked across the street and waited. By 6:05, they both showed up. Not together. Mark came in first, alone, wearing that smug half-smile he always wore when he thought he had the upper hand. Sarah came in 2 minutes later, hair pulled back, face tense. I walked in at 6:10. My heart was hammering, but I kept my voice even. You know why I called you both here. Sarah wouldn't meet my eyes. Mark leaned back in his chair, like it was just another casual hangout. You could have just sent a lawyer, man, Mark said, sipping his drink. Dragging us out here in public is kinda dramatic, don't you think? I'm done with games, I said, pulling out a folder. copies of the emails Angela had sent me, the screenshots, the paternity test receipts, bank notices, and a printed photo of the one that was left under the door. Mark's smile faded. Sarah finally spoke. Jake, I didn't know he was going that far. I swear to God, I panicked. Mark cut her off. Oh, come on, Sarah. Don't start the pity act now. You lied to me, she shouted, her voice cracking. You said you loved me. That we'd leave together. You said we'd start over in Tampa. People at nearby tables were staring now. I kept my eyes on Mark. Was this just a sick revenge plan? Was any of it real? Mark looked at me like I was stupid. What did you think, man? That you could keep winning at life and the people you left behind wouldn't notice? You mean helping you with rent? With rehab? That was me leaving you behind? You made me feel like nothing. He spat. Even when you helped me, it was like you were showing off. Playing hero. Sarah stared at him, horrified. You said you loved me? Mark laughed bitterly. I said a lot of things. She stood up. Fast. You're a monster. That's when it happened. She turned to me, right there, in the middle of the cafe, and said, I'm pregnant again. You could hear a pin drop. I didn't speak. I couldn't. Mark muttered, Oh, again? Wow, déjà vu. Sarah snapped. She lunged toward him, hand raised like she was about to slap him, but I stepped between them. Enough, I said, finally breaking. I don't care who the father is. I'm done. I walked out. Just like that. Sarah followed me into the street, crying. Jake, please. I didn't know he was using me. I was lonely, scared, I made stupid decisions, but I love you. I turned around. You lied about the baby. About the loan. About everything. Even now, you didn't tell me until you had to. I didn't want to lose you, she said, breaking down in the middle of the sidewalk. You already did. Matt drove to pick me up. He didn't ask much, just said, I saw the look on your face when you came out. That's all I needed to know. The next day, I got another message from Mark. Guess you were never as smart as you thought. I blocked the number. Sarah tried to call. I didn't answer. I needed space. Not just from her, but from everything. Angela reached out again. I heard what happened. I hope you're okay. For what it's worth, I think you're the only one who ever tried to do the right thing. That was 3 months ago. Sarah moved out. We filed for divorce. She kept the house. I didn't fight it. I moved into a small apartment near work and started seeing a therapist. Not because I was weak, but because I needed to understand how I missed so many signs. We never got a paternity test for the new pregnancy. I told her I didn't need to know. It wasn't about biology anymore. Mark vanished from my life. No more messages. No sightings. Part of me thinks he's still out there, waiting to strike again. But the other part doesn't care. The truth is, I lost a lot. A partner. A best friend. My peace of mind. But I gained something too. Clarity. I learned that people aren't always who they pretend to be, not even the ones who share your bed. I learned that love without trust is just a long con. And I learned that sometimes walking away isn't failure, it's survival. Am I hopeful? Not yet. But I'm still standing. And for now, that's enough.